Okay, it's 3:02 p.m. On June 6th. Uh yeah, slept from 5:50 to 2ish. Um yeah, naturally woke up kinda. I didn't even need an alarm. I just woke up knowing that I have to wake up. At around 11, I woke up, and then a few seconds later, my phone started to bleep because it randomly detected moisture in the USB port. So I don't know. I hope my phone is okay. Um, I also did not watch anything yesterday, but I'm almost so close, 99% done with the can vlog, and I'm gonna export it today. So hopefully it doesn't explode or anything. Um, And yeah, today I haven't really planned anything. I kind of want to go to the Central Library, but the thing is, the library closes at 5:30, which is what, 2.5 hours later. Which by the time I finish getting up, making breakfast, eating it, it's gonna be like 4 at least. So I don't even know if it's worth it. But I do want to go outside, get a cup of coffee, sit down, and drink, read, and draw. So I'm gonna see if I can do that. No notifications of anything. Camden texted me thanking me for bringing it back and bringing the earrings back and asking me like let's watch the movies together, which is cool. But literally no notifications, like nothing. Uh, Nothing. I texted Christian last night asking him how's Minnesota. No news from that. Maisie has a new haircut, and they look great. I just missed the wolf cut, you know? But again, by the time I got to film their cameo, maybe their hair would change. I don't know, but the more I think about my film, given that Andrew Wu's not texting me back, Daniel Pan has no feedback, Cliff, I realized I looked at me and Cliff's messages and I realized I haven't even. Like, I've been texting Cliff consistently since April and he's still not gotten back to me. I mean, Cliff is great, but I don't know. And no one's really talking to me, and this makes me want to just cancel my film, honestly, because there's like no communication between me and the outside world at all. Like, there's barely any communication. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it's it's terrible. uh yeah, no one's fucking saying anything to me. There's no anything. There's no update on anything because no one's fucking saying anything. Which is so dumb. Like, what do you mean cancel a short film because no one's talking to you? Like, what do you mean? But I guess I have to. So I don't know. It's still on the table. Like, the cancel card is still on the table. Like, I'm still willing to cancel it if, I'm still willing to cancel it is what I'm saying. Um but but then again, Love and Death, I literally tried to cancel it the first day of shoot. World is not enough. I definitely thought of canceling it multiple times. Like, all of my films, if it's not school attached, like, I've probably thought about canceling them multiple times. So yeah, just waiting for the random 1 in 1,000 chance where they see my text and my idea is communicated somehow. Yeah. I also, okay. Oh, dream. Um, I was like, I was gonna go to Cannes Film Festival, but at the same time, it also feels like I'm going to a snowy, uh, going to ski in the mountains in Italy, in some snowy, faraway land. But it was so late at night, I haven't packed, and I realize if I don't want to miss the flight, I can't sleep. and I need to fly to Switzerland first. And then, oh my god, I forgot a lot of it. I think my mom was there, and like oh, no storage space. Yeah, it was like right before going to Cannes, and then oh yeah, I remember. I remember talking to JD, the Singaporean girl, on Instagram, and then I decided to, in the morning of the day I need to leave, I still watched a film. I watched Nouvelle Vague on my laptop, or the new Koreeda film, even though the Cannes Film Festival hasn't started. But somehow I already watched a film from that festival just to like gear up, just like pre-game the festival, I guess. But then at the same time, it also didn't feel like Cannes Film Festival. It feels like I'm about to go on a resort, like a snowy resort, and it's not related to my family at all. Or maybe that part was related to my family. I don't know. Okay, that's it for today. Okay, it's 2:44 a.m. in the morning. Thank God, I love having storage space on my phone. Today is a quaint day again. It's been how many days? 12 days since I've been back. 12 days. It's been pretty much half a month, and it's been a nice, quiet half a month of nothing. And surely this morning was a little bit disparaging, I would say. Right off the bat in the morning, I finally got a text back from Andrew saying, "Yeah, I'm sorry we can't produce this, especially because Kate won't be able to do it. But if you have any smaller roles, I'm sure we can help." Yeah, well, great. I I should have texted him earlier about not having him on as producer. Honestly, last week I was already going to text him, "Hey, if you're not going to do it, just let me know. No hard feelings." So finally he got back to me saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to do it." Especially because Kate won't be able to do it. Which, the way he worded it, makes it seem like Kate can't do it because she got sick. She got some chronic disease, or maybe she got this crazy paid job. Like, I don't know. But honestly, the truth is, number one, they don't trust my vision. I haven't done jack shit in USC. I've done jack shit right before USC. I made objects in Mirror. But then by the time I got into the depth of USC, I've made jack shit. So I enjoyed Smooth Operator, but it was very low budget. I didn't make anything great. They don't trust me. The script is too big and ambitious, it's weird and offensive, and also, they don't even like me that much in the first place. And I know it's a little, my brain is doing a little negative talking. The fact that, Kate invited me to the Friendsgiving and the Lunar New Year potluck, the fact that I'm in Andrew's close friends Instagram, they don't hate me per se. I think they enjoy me as a friend, but they don't like me that much. At the very, very end of the day, I'm not in their clique. I'm just not. Andrew, Brandon, Kay, Shay, Ethan, Daniel, Pan, Harley, they're in a clique, and I'm just not. And nothing wrong with that. It's just so fucking ironic that over the last 1.5 years, I've known Andrew since I think April of 2024. So that's been 2 years. But I didn't know this clique until, I didn't get to know Harley and Ethan until January of 2025. And then May of 2025, I got to know Daniel Pan. And by then, I also met Brandon. And then since then, I've been working for them, honestly. Of course, me and Andrew, we did 290 together. He was the DP to my directing. He's seen my directing, even though that hotel shoot was nothing. But I've also worked on multiple sets of theirs. Worked on the Whip ad as PD. I PD'd Ethan's thing, even though that wasn't. Well, Kate produced it. Andrew was not associated at all. Me and Brandon were on Rush together for a little bit. And I also worked on K-Shay's film Continue for one day. And on top of that, I showed up to all their 310s. Brandon's 310, I was there, I clapped. I showed up to the fucking Asian Pacific Festival thing. K-Shay's 310, I was there, I clapped, I was respectful. But at the end of the day, when it comes to helping me, they're not gonna do it. And you know, I'm not even that upset. I feel like ever since I've known them, I know this would happen. Ever since I've known them, I've never been comfortable around them anyways. I mean, to be fair, I'm rarely comfortable with anyone, but with them, there's always this pressure of, you know, wanting to get close to them, wanting to be part of them, and then not being part of them, etc., etc. And yeah, it's bound to happen. At the end of the day, I didn't mean much to them. They took the photos together at the APCA banquet, and they didn't really want to invite me. So to them, I'm really nothing, and it's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine. I get it. It's a bit sad that it's a bit upsetting that I gave them so much and they never returned that back to me. But you know what? I've had fun. I've had some experiences. Got to meet people. Went to San Francisco and, you know, had a good graduation week with them. But at the end of the day, just like with any institution, you lose friends. And I'm fine with losing them because over the last semester or so, I valued Click to View more than them anyways. Like I would go back to a Click to View party. I would not. I don't even know if they have parties. I don't even think they would invite me anymore. Because, frankly, after graduation, what are we going to do anyways? Aside from another, Friendsgiving potluck or some shit. At the end of the day, it's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. So, today marks the end of, me and this Asian clique. This Asian film clique. It's just... I'm not in their clique. They can do their own thing. That's whatever. It's done from me. It's done for me. They're very cliquey and... Yep, it's okay. And in fact, I was relieved. Even though it seems on paper, it seems like a bad thing. Like, I just lost producers. And now I'm producerless. But I've been producerless from day one. And... so now I'm in talks with Anna Iwasawa. I haven't exactly told her what's up, but I did DM her and ask her for help, and she's like, just email me because my VPN's not working. And I'm like, okay, because she's back in China. But honestly, this is a relief in some ways because I feel like I'm gonna get better producers. Sure, Andrew and Kate might be closer to me in the sense that we've spent more time together and I know them a little bit more because I've hung out with them more. But truthfully, do I trust them as much? Okay, I think Andrew's more lenient. I think Andrew feels a little bad about not being able to help me. But then again, he and Kate are a duo. Kate doesn't want to help me. That's the truth. So, and Kate's BCA. She's not going to be able to understand art. To them, I'm just this weird, freaky, artsy film guy who only knows how to watch movies but doesn't know how to make movies. So, yeah, that's... I would say that's unfortunate, but that isn't unfortunate. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing now that I'm released from this chokehold. I can find better producers. I can find actually competent producers. I'm also thinking of asking... This is a very random poll, but I'm also thinking of asking Jake De La Rosa. I've never spoken to that guy before. I know that guy's Matt's friend. I only want to get him because I know he and I are on similar wavelengths when it comes to making movies. He likes making extreme, edgy social satires that are political. That's exactly what this film is. So I don't know, maybe there's a possibility. But right now I'm looking at grad students. Grad students are always a good bet. So yeah, that's that. So hopefully Anna Iwasa will help me out, even if she's not producing, which, yeah, I don't know, but I'm sure she has tons of resources. I'm sure if I tap into the Chinese group, I'm sure there are tons of resources there. So that's that. So in in the contrary, on the contrary, the rest of today, I felt good. I felt really good. It's a very quaint day, and I didn't do much, but I successfully finished editing the Can vlog, which took me like, what, 3 months to edit? I exported it, my laptop did not crash, I was very careful with it, and then I went out. I didn't get boba or coffee or anything. I just walked to the USC Village, I grabbed a seat, and I drew and I read. I read some of the Myth of Sisyphus, and I drew some faces. I'm not great at it, but I want to do it every day. I realized that when it comes to drawing, it's easy to give yourself like a goal in mind. Like, oh, I need to draw so well so that I can look like this art, so that I can draw this well. But the thing is, like, I realize that it's really, I shouldn't draw for the sake of result. I should draw because I like drawing. I shouldn't draw so that one day I'll be able to draw this well. I should draw because I like drawing, like the process of drawing, which is a strange concept, right? Because when it comes to cooking, it's like, I want to cook well so that the food would be delicious. People don't cook because they like cooking, really. But what if they do? And I was also reading The Myth of Sisyphus, and I'm reading about Don Juan. Out of the 3 types of absurd men, Don Juan is the first type. That's where I've read so far. And Don Juan is this insane womanizer who just seduces one woman after another. That's basically the opposite of what I do. But what I find, what stood out to me is that Don Juan doesn't seduce women in order to find love or hope for something or collect them or anything. He seduces women because he's a seducer by nature. He does it because he likes doing it. He's not doing it for a specific goal. He's not, like, there's no goal. And I guess as an artist, I should create art with no goal, which seems very oxymoronic or moronic, and it just seems like something that doesn't suit what I've done so far in my life at all, sure. But I like to think that, yes, society sells you the idea of success, lots of friends, lots of followers, a lover, nice car, great job, but also success in terms of like fame, clout. Like, I make this great film, everyone's like, oh my god, people are talking about me. That's cool and all. People do that to Jia Young, and by some extension maybe Jia-Yun as well, and who are the great directors? I mean, the 480 directors. I mean, Julian to a degree, yes. Yeah, Julian, Octavian, whatever. All these people, right? But this is the society's way of selling you success. And this makes you think I make art because I want to succeed. No, I shouldn't think that way. I don't make art because I want to succeed. Succeeding is important for survival, but ultimately I make art because I love making art. I make films, and I should think of it that way. I make films not because I want my films to be super famous and awesome. I make films because I just fucking love doing it. I love turning my thoughts and feelings into images and characters and stories and words and colors and sounds, and that art form is just something that I love. So, back to Don Juan. He seduces women to seduce them because he's a seducer by nature. I'm a filmmaker by nature. I walk on the streets. I look at the sky, I look at trees, and in my head I'm just thinking of arranging them in a cinematic way, because that's just who I am. I have to make movies because that's literally what I'm built for. So, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, The Empire, I do want to make it so that it's like win awards or whatever, but I should always keep in mind that I'm only making it because I just goddamn fucking love movies, man. That's the number one reason. So, anyways, still haven't texted Sunny, but for some reason, after the chokehold of a release, I'm more confident in texting her. So, I might do it tomorrow. I don't know. Again, I saw this YouTube video yesterday, which resonated with me a lot. And it's interesting because I'm seeing, like, lately YouTube has been recommending me a lot of Hong Kong videos and Cantonese videos. It's this video where this woman, this streamer, talks about a post she saw on Threads, which is a social media app offshoot of Instagram, which I don't have. I don't really care to have either. But on Threads, some guy was complaining that being a guy is so awful because you're not allowed to be vulnerable, you're not allowed to have feelings, and people yell at you and make fun of you. But then a woman, if you express a little bit online, people are swarming to, comfort you, to talk to you. And then this woman was like, you shouldn't drag women into this, you shouldn't drag gender into this. It's your issue, but there's a truth. And she's feminist, and she's like, for until the day woman can go outside and be safe, feminism is needed. So nowadays women still can't go outside and be safe, obviously. But the point is, men are bad at expressing themselves. And as much as I'm trying to combat masculinity by putting on makeup and, embracing my soft side and, whatever, I do believe now that the greatest part of masculinity that I need to combat is actually the fact that I cannot express well. Maybe it's a masculinity thing, maybe it's my thing. It's a bit of both. And it's a bit of a neurodivergent thing too, maybe. I feel like neurodivergent people just cannot express well, but then again, who am I to say? I'm not properly diagnosed, probably, I don't know. But a lot of times I complain. I tell people, I always say, I'm so sad, I'm so depressed, but no one knows. And I'm gonna make a very dark film about suicide, and finally people will know. But the thing is, people don't know because I just don't tell them, or I try, but I don't do it well. And the only few people that I do it well to right now is Michelle and Christian. Even Potter's kind of just waned away, sadly. But whenever Potter shows up, it's great. But he's waned away. He's gone somewhere. He's faded away. And I wanted to do it in front of Maisie. Obviously, there's a level of scare there, but yeah, if Maisie comes back and we hang out, I do want to be more confessional in front of them. Maisie got a new haircut, sort of this mullet hairstyle with bangs. Looks really cool. I just miss their wolf cut. With the forehead and everything. It's just that's prime Maisie. Okay. Anyways, I digress. I need to know how to express myself better. And can't say I haven't tried. Right? I think every time it's just me and Colin, which was 3 times ish. I try to be confessional, but it never feels like the right time. But there are a few times where it's just me and Colin, and that's great. I think Colin's a very understanding person, and I think I get the sense that Colin enjoys talking to me too. Again, it's such an awesome chokehold release too, because I'm always torn between Click to View and the Asian film group, but now I'm not worried. I'm fully committed to the Click to View group, and the Click to View group is adjacent to a bunch of other cool artsy people anyways, whereas the Asian film group is more adjacent to the other Asian film group, which is Jiayang, and they're not gonna fucking like my script anyways. So yeah. But yeah, I went outside, drew, read, took a lift back home, and then I had lunch at like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and then I had dinner at midnight, which is crazy, but all is well. And tomorrow I need to wake up early. I might wake up at like 9:45-ish, 9:30, which is not too long later, but it's fine. Because I need to see two films tomorrow, Threads and Southland Tales. Super excited, super duper excited, and can't wait for tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see what's up. But definitely, while I'm figuring out the producers thing, right now there shouldn't be a de facto producer. Like, I'm the producer now, and I should gather heads of departments, and I should ask Christian and Maisie to just say yes, to give the official yes. But yeah, I'm not quite worried about PD because it's not very PD heavy. And also, if Christian and Maisie are too busy to do it, they and I can think of like 15 other people who could help out, and there would be no hard feelings because I'm sure if they can help out in any capacity, they probably would. Maisie's surprisingly friendly to me at times. Like, a few days ago, right before they left for Texas, they were like, "Wait, your birthday's September 7th, right?" The fact that someone out there is asking me for my birthday and is like trying to remember it, like, that's rare, you know? That's rare. That's great. I feel like not a lot of people do that to me. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I think small things like this are a bit rare to come by. I don't know why I'm like tearing up right now, but the Asian film people, they don't fucking know when's my birthday. I literally only started to get close to Maisie on Hollow Man, which was February, fucking 4 months ago. I've known the Woos gang since, let's say I finally got to know them at May last year. Whole year ago. They never asked me for my birthday. I mean, at the end of college, you finally know who your real friends are. Yeah, it's cool that I also, it's also interesting because I think they are held together by Asianness. But the truth of the matter is, aside from Harley, I'm the other most Asian person. Daniel's born in Taiwan, okay, everyone else is just Chinese American, man. And I feel like I'm too Asian for them at times. And the thing is, the ironic thing is they're bound together by Asianness, but I, as a real Asian person, I am not even bound together by that now. What I care more are values. And the thing is, Click to View, that group, I align with their values a lot more. You know? So yeah. Even with Click to View, I would say I'm not like super with them, like in their group chats, whatever. I'm not. But at least I'm more comfortable with them. And I think that's good enough. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I also finished editing a thoughts update video and it took forever to export, but finished editing 2 big videos today. Okay, time now is 10:09 a.m. on June 7th. Oh my god. I slept from. I went to bed at 5:55 a.m. I couldn't fall asleep for like a while. I think I didn't fall asleep until maybe 6:20. And I woke up by the alarm around 9:50. So really, I have about 3.5 hours of sleep. Oh my god. Yeah, yeah, I hate that I keep going to bed late. And today's the first day I'm sleeping so little since Cannes, so that's terrible. Maybe I should sell my ticket to Threads and then just go back to bed. But yeah, I have to leave this place at 11 a.m. sharp to catch the 12 p.m. screening of Threads. So, but today is a fun day, I hope. I'm going to watch Threads at Egyptian and then immediately take a metro to Santa Monica to catch Southland Tales at 7 p.m. But I'll be meeting Michelle around 3:30, and it's gonna be nice. There's gonna be like a whole, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm so tired. I didn't apply to any jobs again, which is very concerning. There's this videography job thing, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I should send my resume over. And then as it turns out, it's like videography. Like they expect you to have your lighting and lighting. I don't own any fucking lights, bruh. Other than the one I stole from Ethan Kwan. At least I got something out of that Asian friend group relationship, is I got a light. Yeah. I'm gonna text Sunny today. Fuck it. I think she'll be nice. It's just weird because she never initiates conversation with me, but you gotta be a beggar in the beginning of fucking any relationship anyways. Like how did Jayan approach me? You know, I got approached the same way, but with Riz, which is tough, but yeah. Yeah.
Jackson, as you've just been told, something about seeing this film before, in which case I honestly don't know why you're here again. Anyway, well, that's an hour and 50 minutes. Stick it out if you can. It was shot in 1984 in and around the industrial city of Sheffield, in the middle of England. The Sheffield accent can be a little thick at first, but I'm sure you'll grow to love it. Anyway, you've been told there are some disturbing images in it, but hell, this is Bleak Week, so you know. Anyway, this is stress.
Here, I'm kind of like the mayor of Bleak Week, so they trotted me out to get to talk to legendary director Mick Jackson.
It's bleak, isn't it?
That's why I think this is the third time that this is played at Bleak Week. It's almost like this and Come and See are like the unofficial movies of Bleak Week. They're just such a part of the program.
Well, I don't know what to say. Ask me some questions and I'll try and answer.
Absolutely. Okay. So for starters, it was commissioned by the BBC. So I know a big part of. Oh no.
Not really. here's the story. Nobody wanted to do this. In the 1960s, the BBC was confronted with the decision whether to air or not a legendary film made by Peter Watkins called The War Game, and decided that it would not air it. A couple of decades later, the ignominy and the shame of that reflected on the BBC in such a way that they wanted to try and find a way out of this dilemma, and they couldn't. I thought I could see a way of helping them. I was working for the BBC in the science department, and I said, well, let me make this kind of dipping a toe in the water. I'll make a film about the Consumer's Report on fallout shelters. And it's called A Guide to Armageddon. It's a sneaky way of showing how fallout shelters can protect you from blast. Therefore, you have to show blast and radiation and heat pulse and all that sort of stuff. So I did these kind of sneaky but very kind of graphic illustrations, like shooting glass in slow motion into a pumpkin, when you're talking about the effects of flying glass, turning a blowtorch on the side of meat in a butcher's window. And the effect was kind of obvious without being political. So I realized, talking to scientists while preparing for that film, that there was a lot more to be said. And it was to be said in a dramatic form because it was psychological. It wasn't about physical effects of the blast and the radiation and so on. It was about what happens to people trapped in the middle of this. You've never seen. So people aren't used to seeing drama and an expert voice again. It's the voice of the BBC Science series like Nova here, talking about it. You can't get that out of your head because it's so unusual.
Yeah, as an editor myself, I think one of the best things about the movie is that it doesn't have a specific structure. There's some scenes that are 5 seconds long in between graphics. There's others that are 3 to 4 minutes long in between graphics. Like, it really doesn't give you a chance to hold on. It makes the...
Are you?
Very good question.
I mean, I look around the world today. This is set in the 1980s. It might as well be set now, easily. If you forget about
You said the timeline started with Russia invading somewhere.
After the thing happens, the attack happens, it doesn't matter. Whether you had a cell phone and you listen to CNN or what, it's all the same afterwards. My wife and I had our first child while I was working on Threads. So it's a kind of symmetry. This may not answer your question.
You go do that. Follow your dreams.
The white walls, couches, big windows, plastic cups. Wow.
Hold on, wait.
Because filmmaker Richard Kelly himself is going to be joining us right after this movie, so make sure you stay in those seats. It's going to be a great.
Mike Nielsen, are you here? Abby McBride. Otherwise known as Sheena G. And then Kevin Robertson. Are you here?
I was in this cut.
All his scenes with Janine Garofalo's sidekick.
Sitting next to Stephen Poster as well.
Yeah, Stephen Poster or Marvel 75. Anyway,
I know it's exciting. You were saying it's exciting for you just to be in this theater. You shot some scenes of Donnie Darko right here.
we did. We had Jake Gyllenhaal and Jen Malone and James Duvall seated right there, wearing the rabbit costume and watching The Evil Dead unfold. Yeah, that was late summer of 2000. We were in this very theater.
I know this is the 20th anniversary of Southside Tales,
Mhm.
and so with that hindsight, would you say that the future is more or less futuristic?
Well, I have talked to some scientists about that, and their opinion is it is more futuristic. It's God. The world has changed quite a bit in 20 years when we made this movie. When we made this movie, obviously, like the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Katrina was happening literally as we were shooting the movie, and it was sort of like the dichotomy of that, and then sort of like Paris Hilton and Britney Spears, and the 2000s sort of like gossip magazine club culture in LA, and MySpace was a big thing. Remember MySpace? But smartphones hadn't come upon the world yet. We had I remember texting with Dwayne as we were shooting the movie, and he had a BlackBerry, and everyone's like running around with their Blackberries, and it was a very quaint time,
Well, just there is something about the movie, watching it today, that it feels weirdly predictive, kind of prescient about a lot of things.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? I mean, it's like, I guess maybe the way to put that is a better question is like, what were you responding to at the time?
Well, the things I was kind of just mentioning, obviously, but it was also, we were just a few years out of 9/11, and I think it was sort of just the trauma and the anxiety of like living in this post 9/11 world where it just felt like we were in this very dangerous new environment. And I think also just being in Los Angeles, being in this gigantic, massive city, and I came out here when I was 18 years old. I literally got on a plane with a scholarship to USC, and kind of just didn't look back, and just came out here and found my way into the movie business and everything. And so there was a lot about the movie that was very much like my relationship with LA, and sort of my, I guess, love-hate relationship. There's a lot of love for LA in this movie, but there's certainly, I guess we were talking about this earlier, and I was talking to a journalist from GQ did an interview with me a few weeks ago, and was talking about the anger, that it felt like we were very angry making the movie, and at the time a lot of people were talking about how angry the movie was, and I guess his response was, no, I feel more hopeful now, which I guess I appreciate, because maybe it's just so much has changed in 20 years, and the world has gotten so much more insane than the actual movie. The movie feels almost like quaint, I guess, or understated maybe in a strange way, and it's a ridiculous adjective to ascribe to this movie is an understatement. That's ridiculous. The world has truly gotten crazier than the movie. I think that's pretty clear. So.
And in the years since, have you kind of clocked that? I mean, is it something that you've noticed when you've done Q&As? I know you kind of revisited this film a few times over the years. Is it strange to you that just the simple thing of politicians and porn stars? What an idea.
Yeah, when you make a movie, you live with it for the rest of your life. Some more than others. I mean, some movies maybe don't cling as much, but with me, and I've only made 3 movies, unfortunately, but it always feels like it's alive, and it's still unfinished. Like the visual effects in this drive me nuts because they're so far from being finished, especially this version. We never even got to finish the visual effects in the theatrical version, but so it just feels like this unfinished thing, very much. But it also feels like it's maturing, I guess, in a way where as the world evolves and gets crazier and more unhinged, and that the movie I think it just feels more comforting, I hope, to me and to people who want to show up on a Sunday night, at the end of Bleak Week, to feel a little bit of hope, I feel, and I don't know, I guess I feel more comfortable with it, and I just also, there's more positive energy surrounding the movie, because for a long, long time, there was literally just a lot of seething hatred for it. People who just either hated it or wanted to destroy it or wanted to did did not want the movie to ever have any perception of success, you know. And so the fact that that ship has changed, that has turned around, that feels good.
And then it's also so exciting to be watching a movie here in the Arrow in Santa Monica. I mean, this is such a like west side of LA movie, like Santa Monica, Venice Beach, down in the South Bay. What was it? You know, you were going to USC. What was it about this part of LA that made you want to like explore it in this way?
Well, I always loved the South Bay. When I wrote Donnie Darko, I was living in Hermosa Beach with a bunch of friends from USC in this like suburban house in Hermosa, and then I moved to Manhattan Beach when I got like an agent, when I got my first agent, and then when I directed Donnie Darko, I moved up to Venice Beach, and actually Santa Monica, Venice border, right on the edge near Main Street, Santa Monica. I actually met Dwayne Johnson for the very first time at the Firehouse, which is this great like breakfast restaurant right across from Gold's Gym where Dwayne used to work out. And I remember I met with Dwayne Johnson at the Firehouse, and I had all my Mega Zeppelin schematics to show him from Ron, the legend Ron Cobb, designer of Mega Zeppelin and our Trier Saltair SUV. He sadly passed away, but so I had all my schematics and meeting with Dwayne, and he's just rolled in from Gold's Gym, literally, and he ordered the biggest meal I've ever seen. He ordered like this gigantic steak and then like 2 baked potatoes, like a gigantic bowl of broccoli. And I was pitching him the whole movie and showing him the Mega Zeppelin and everything, and he was just like devouring this meal, just nodding his head and he was like, he was in. He was in. And so I don't know, the west side of LA and the South Bay just felt like part of the fabric of my LA experience. And it just felt like such an essential part of the movie, and I have so much affection for all of LA, but this part of town, and specifically in Venice Beach, I lived there for a long time, and I love it. I love the bohemian energy and just the vibe of Venice Beach always just feels so alive. And so to get to shoot in all those locations was a real dream.
Well, the movie just feels so alive, I think in part because you are in those.
Ralph, his last name is escaping me right now, but he did an incredible job, and he had a very huge challenge to deliver like Santa Monica Pier, to let us put SWAT vehicles on the Venice Boardwalk, the neo-Marxist compound. That the interior of the neo-Marxist compound was actually downtown. It was a set we did in a warehouse downtown, but the exterior, we matched it. We were really there on the boardwalk, and we literally had Sean's stunt double falling off that rooftop, and then we did sort of a digital thing with the dumpster, where he falls in the dumpster. But we were really in Venice Beach. We were at the cafe, is it the Sidewalk Cafe, where we shot all the meetings. There's 3 or 4 scenes set at that outdoor restaurant with the patio and everything, and all the people in the crowds and everything. It felt very alive, but they were very expensive locations. And LA is very expensive to shoot here, and I made my first 2 movies here. But getting to shoot a movie in LA, there's nothing better. Honestly, it's a wonderful city to make a movie in. Because you can figure out how to pay for it. So hopefully it'll get easier. They really need to work on that, obviously.
And then just the cast of the movie in particular, you have all these comedians, but then you have them playing it straight. I think part of what was difficult for audiences, especially at the time, like people didn't know if they were supposed to be laughing or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like for you, what was behind the idea of casting all these very funny people and then having them play the roles very straight?
I think that was just sort of the philosophy, the tonal design of the movie that I sort of tried to present to everyone was, I knew that sort of in working with Mary Renew and our casting director and Venus Kanani, we were going for people that had sort of a background either from pop culture or comedy or stand-up comedy or music, that they were coming from a place of like a pop consciousness in a way. But also people who were just really funny. And people who were bringing, they weren't bringing sort of a lot of baggage into the film they were all like game to have fun. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, for instance, Dwayne. This was maybe his third or fourth leading role, I guess, at this point, and he was at a crossroads of his career where people didn't quite know what kind of actor he was going to become, and he was sort of still navigating his way through the early stages of his career, and so he was sort of the glue that held everything together in this sort of idea that everyone was going to be stepping into the role that they played, but they were going to be doing something a little different. We were going to tweak something with every actor. You know, whether it's asking John Lovitz to dye his hair blonde, which he did, and he was a little nervous, but you know, and the facial prosthetics that some of the characters were doing, and you know, John Larroquette was like, I think I want to do a New Orleans accent. Great, that's awesome. You know? I don't know, everyone felt like they were kind of maybe tweaking their persona of who they were just a little bit, and that was really just wonderful. And you know, with getting Moby involved and the music feeling very kind of mournful and ethereal and stuff, it just felt like we were trying to achieve a specific tone. You know, and again, where the actors were instructed to play it very serious, that your character believes in what they're trying to do. Each character has a specific goal, and they're very passionate about achieving that goal. And as long as I can get the actors to focus on what their part was in the crazy maze of the movie, that's all I needed them to understand.
So with some of the actors like Sarah Michelle Gellar, Amanda Moore, Justin Timberlake, of course, Wayne, you liked the idea that they were like bringing this sort of like metatextual thing, like that they had their sort of pop personas and they were bringing that into the movie?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I don't know if I was like trying to reference like Andy Warhol, or I don't know if that even makes sense. But there was something like about the idea of pop and celebrity and just these sort of the energy that some of the actors brought into it. They were all kind of on the same wavelength in a way. I mean, there's some actors that we pursued for roles that we couldn't get, but there's other actors who I met with, and it was just clear that they weren't fitting into what all of this was. And there were some wonderful, wonderful people that I met with for some of the roles, where I could tell they were fascinated with it, but they were just like, yeah, this isn't quite, I'm not quite comfortable with what this, I think they were maybe a little like overwhelmed with like what we were trying to do. But I think one of the common denominators of all the actors who did end up committing and doing the movie was a sort of just like a fearlessness, that they just weren't afraid of what the movie was trying to do, or afraid of the movie failing, you know. Some might argue that the movie did fail, but we at least got to Cannes. You know, we got in competition, and a lot of people were like, "What the fuck is this movie doing?"
Well, I want to be sure to ask you about the big musical number, Justin's number, that you, at the time, I mean, Justin was, I think, at the peak of his fame, and you bring him in to not do one of his own songs. Like, what was his response when you presented him with this killer song that you wanted him to do?
He loved it. I think he was just like, he's a pro, and he's very, very gifted. And I think he's an incredible actor, and obviously an incredible musician. And I had this vision of him doing that killer song. It was kind of like the Tears for Fears sequence in Donnie Darko, where everyone was like, what are you doing here? A music video in the middle of a movie? And once they saw it, everyone was like, we get it. You know? And I knew it was going to be the same thing with the Killers. The producers were not happy with me. I wanted to spend 4 hours on the Santa Monica Pier.
3.
Was it 3 hours? 3 hours. It was Steven, that's my brilliant cinematographer. It was 4 Steadicam shots, and we had Marguerite Derricks, our incredible choreographer, who She did Sparkle Motion, and then she did all the stuff here in Southland Tales. Incredible choreographer. She worked with all of those dancers for like a month beforehand, and we scouted the pier and we walked it. The dancers rehearsed everything, and Justin had no rehearsal at all. I literally told him like 2 days before, here's the Killers song, try to memorize the lyrics. The producers were just like, we cannot afford this song. This is like the biggest song in the world. Like the Killers, that album was like the biggest album and one of the biggest albums in the world. And that song was massive. And it's like this song is gonna cost like $500,000, Richard. We're never gonna get the song. And like, just trust me. Like, so we did one take with Justin where he did not lip sync as a cover in case we couldn't get the song. But then I remember when we got to the end of the fourth shot where he's pouring the Budweiser on his head, and I remember Cameron Diaz was on set because she was dating Justin at the time. It was like 2 in the morning, and like we had just gotten through the final sequence with Justin, and all the producers came over to the monitor and were like, okay, this is really good. We have to get the song. How do we get the song? So I could just tell that we knew it was working by the time we got to the last camera setup and everything. And then we showed it to the management company who represented the Killers, and they're like, ooh, okay, this is really good. How much money do you have? And it was like, once they realized the reality of what the movie was and our budget, they agreed to the very small amount of money that we had per song, and it just set the Favored Nations rate for all the songs that we've been getting. So it just takes one band, usually the biggest, most famous band, to agree, and then it sort of sets the, and we were just very fortunate, So the Killers are awesome.
And now there are multiple versions of Donnie Darko and Southland Tales. You talked about a director's cut of The Box. For you, like, are any of your films ever definitively finished? Like,
No.
Well, does that bother you? Do you like
Yes.
the idea? Well, do you like the idea that there's multiple versions of the movies floating around?
Well, I do think that there can be longer versions if there's there's a lot more story there. There's graphic novels obviously that I've written. There's a lot more Southland Tales that could be done. And sometimes it's a situation where I just never got a visual effects budget that I needed. This movie just literally never got the visual effects world building that I wanted to do. There's so many unfinished effects in this version of the movie, it just drives me nuts to have to look at it. But what we were able to achieve almost everything we got with the actors and the locations and the foreground environments and everything. I never got to do all the big machine in the ocean and all the stuff out in the desert and all the downtown pyrotechnics with the Zeppelin and everything. We never got to do nearly enough that I wanted to do, but we got about as far as we could, So, but I don't know. One day, I promise I'll make another movie again. But I don't want it to always be that way, where I feel like the movie never got the edit just right, or never got all the visual effects that it needed, But that's I'm not complaining, because I got to start doing this when I was so young. I was 25 when I did my first movie, and just there's a lot of ambition there. Sometimes the ambition it can't be contained, So,
And then
we'll see what happens.
you mentioned the response to the film when it premiered at Cannes, and this was kind of a notorious year. You played also the year that Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette played, and that was also kind of roundly rejected there at the festival.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you? What was it like when you were actually at the festival and the film was, received the way that it was?
It was really pretty traumatizing, I guess, 'cause I was like 31 years old, and I was very just so overwhelmed because I knew the movie wasn't finished. I wanted to be able to shout that from the cassette, it's not finished, but there was I think a sentiment of Richard, don't say that. And I wish I could have said that louder, and we had the first graphic novel there at Cannes to hand out to the press. We had 30 copies of it, and everyone was like, what the fuck is this? No one cared. I don't think anyone read it. and so it was just, we were trying to do something really bold, and we just knew that as the premiere came closer, we were there a few days earlier, and then it was a Sunday night premiere at the beginning of the festival when everyone's there, prime time, front-loaded slot at competition at Cannes, and it was just, we were just sort of like, it became pretty clear that we were basically being sent into like a buzzsaw, you know. It was traumatizing, but I think that was maybe because we were all just so new to this experience. Again, I was very, very young, and I had no concept of like, oh, that's kind of how it goes over there. Like, if you get in competition, they're gonna kick the shit out of you. Regardless, sometimes you're just gonna, they're gonna be, it can be really brutal over there. It's just the way that it is. And I think maybe I wasn't sort of prepared for all of that, you know. But, you know, that's the business. And
When Donnie Darko premiered at Sundance, it was somewhat similar. Like for
oh yeah, it was a horrible reception. No one
did you
remembers
feel
that.
like, oh, here we go again?
It was definitely like the same thing, history repeating itself. Again, and then, but on just on a much bigger scale, it can, and you know, with everyone saying, you know, disaster, and you know, just all the hyperbole, you know, surrounding when a movie is perceived as getting rejected by a big film festival audience like that, you know. But you know, maybe one of these days I'll have a different experience.
But what has it meant to you in the years since to have had the sort of the reputation of the movie really turn around?
Oh, it's been great, so great, because like for so long there was just so much negative energy being directed at the movie, and now it's like pretty much overwhelmingly positive, and it's just like, I've always loved this movie more than literally however many movies I end up getting to make, hopefully more than 3. This will always be my favorite. This movie will it'll always be my favorite because it was just so crazy what we tried to do. It was so much fun to make, literally getting to hang out with all these actors that summer of 2005. It was just so much fun, and above all else, I just remember how fun it was to make. All the bad stuff and all the painful reception it can, and having to bring in 20-year-old interns to finish the visual effects because no one would pay for them, you know, like all the insane post-production and everything. As horrible as a lot of that was, it doesn't discount how wonderful the experience of actually making the film was. That no one can ever take that away from me. So,
Yeah. And we have time for just a couple questions from the audience. If anybody has anything they want to do? Yep, right here.
Something that I've noticed across your films are these like motifs or recurring ideas. So time loops, key figure of the facial difference, power of water, the line between science and magic. I was just wondering is it like a conscious thing where you sit down and write a story, it needs to have these
Themes in so many movies, time loops, water. Like, are those things that you're aware of, or that's kind of, or is that unconscious?
yeah, I'm definitely aware of it. I guess there's sort of a grammar or a language that I've been trying to.
Sort of specifically.
Well, the whole sand maze thing is sort of explored in the graphic novel prequel. The first, you see this begins as chapter 4. There's 3 chapters that precede the movie where it's everyone coming back from the desert. Whole life as an artist, you know, I was first exposed to him with Twin Peaks as a young teenager when I watched the pilot episode of Twin Peaks, and then eventually when I got to USC, I was able to go into the Laserdisc library at USC and watch Blue Velvet and go watch all of his movies, and I saw Fire Walk with Me in the theater, and I saw Wild at Heart in the theater, and I became obsessed with his work, and when we had the idea of doing the national anthem, I pursued Rebecca Del Rio. I actually was with Jake Gyllenhaal when we saw Mulholland Drive in the theater together, because it played at the same time as Donnie Darko. We went to the Beverly Center. Jake and I went to the Beverly Center to check in on Donnie Darko. We're like, oh, let's go see Mulholland Drive. Like, our faces were melted off by that movie. And Rebecca Rebecca, my dear friend Rebecca Del Rio, who we lost recently, getting to work with her and doing the Star Spanglish banner, as she would love me to call it. It was just, Lynch will always be a part of. I only got to meet David once at a restaurant, and when you meet your heroes, you don't want to completely embarrass yourself. So something I was very quick. Took 30 seconds of his time to introduce myself, told him who I was and what my films, and he was very polite and smiling, and then I just left it at that. So I only got to meet David once, but I'm so grateful that I did have that 30 seconds the one time I got to meet him. And getting to work with Rebecca and befriend Rebecca and everything, I felt like I had kind of a lens into his world, and so Mark Catone, our first AD, our brilliant first.
Okay, time now is 4:20 a.m. in the morning. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna try to go to bed earlier today because I am indeed very tired. But yeah, I slept for 3.5 hours. Not good, but I still survived the day. It just feels like another day at Cannes Film Festival where I would be on 3.5 hours of sleep and I would still run around, watch movies, etc. That's basically today. Today I was outside of my place for like 13 hours, which is a lot. And I woke up and pretty much immediately I had to leave and go to the Egyptian Theater again to see Threads by Mick Jackson. And it's very interesting because I took a bus. It's so ironic that the day I'm like super sleep deprived and had to wake up early is the day I'm not late at all. Not at all. I was late for like 2 minutes, but it's basically negligible. But yeah, I took a bus to the Wilshire, Vermont station, K-Town. And while I was waiting for the metro, I saw Ryan Swen, the freelance film critic. He doesn't know me. He's like a micro celebrity. And micro in the smallest sense. I'm like a couple hundred followers away from beating him on Instagram, but he's kind of known, and he's just there, and he's just a regular dude taking the metro alone. And then I also saw other people carrying a Criterion tote bag, and I'm like, okay, we're all going to the Egyptian Theater, I guess. And we all did, and we were all a little late-ish, so we walked really fast. I saw Ryan Swen walk really fast. But yeah, I got into the theater, found a good seat, sat down, watched Threads, and it was fine. It's a traumatizing movie. Did not get anything good out of it. Did not get any enjoyment out of it. It was just traumatizing. Not even in a come and see way. But yeah, after the film, I saw Nikki, one of the two people in the Hong Kong movie club, Hong Kong Film Club. And we talked a little bit, so that was nice. And then we just left. And, that was nice. So, anyways, more updates. So after the Threads ended, it was like 2:30. There was even a Q&A with Mick Jackson, which was fine. He's a funny guy. And then I spent an entire freaking hour traveling from Hollywood to Santa Monica by metro. Which is dedication, traveling across the city like that. That's like the Hong Kong equivalent of going from Yuen Long to maybe Causeway Bay, which is a commitment, But yeah, anyways, lots of small updates. So yes, following the Andrew and Kate dropping out of producing, they didn't even drop out. They never agreed in the first place, but they kind of dropped out. I'm already in talks with Anna Iwasawa, and I don't know how much producing experience she got. I was hoping that she would refer me to someone else, but she was like, "Nope, let me help you." She was so passionate. She's responsive. She's like, "Okay, well, send me a script. Let me know the details." And I just told her a bunch of details, like told her how I got the idea, and well, not exactly the idea. I haven't said anything about the idea, but told her like what's my budget and what do I have, what do I don't have, and she's like, yeah, of course I'm down to help. And you know what? goodness gracious, the moment Andrew and Kate say no, I'm now open to all sorts of possibilities of other people helping me. And the fact that Anna Iwasawa is so responsive, despite the fact that she's in China now and we're communicating through emails, not even Instagram or text or whatever, through emails, she's still more responsive. So, yeah. Anyways, so that's a good sign. Again, like every time I make a short film, especially a big short film like this one, which is the biggest one I've done, it's like 3 steps back, 1 step forward, 3 steps back, 1 step forward, and then maybe 5 steps forward sometimes. But it's this constant like, oh, this is so over. No, wait, there's still hope. No, this is so over. No, wait, there's still hope. It's this constant back and forth. And yeah, with me not being able to contact Cliff at all, and Christian and Maisie, who are gone, just out of LA, I can't even talk to them, like text them. Christian's not responsive. So many people are just unresponsive, and I'm just like, that's it, I'm canceling my film. Like yesterday morning, I genuinely wanted to, but then Anna Iwasawa being kind of passionate about it, just like, thank you. I still don't know if this film's gonna happen, but thank you for caring. Like I don't take that for granted, you know? But yeah, anyways, I met up with Michelle. She wanted to get lunch at the seafood company, Santa Monica Seafood Company, whose stuff are usually quite expensive. I already spent like $27 on YGF a couple nights ago, but I'm like, you know what, screw it. So I paid $32. She paid like 40 something. I paid $32 for fish and chips and a lemonade, which is great, but oh my god, there's a lot of fish and a lot of chips, and I couldn't even finish the chips. I was so full afterwards. It tasted good, the first fish, and then it just, you know, I wish it's less fish and less chips, and maybe add a side of coleslaw. I know I'm Americanizing it, but that would make it way better. But yeah, I had fish and chips, and then she had a lobster roll, and then yeah, we and then immediately afterwards, like she had Coca-Cola, but immediately afterwards, she's like, well, tag along because I'm getting matcha. So we went to this shop called La La Land, which is round the corner near Aero Theater, and it's literally the most LA, the most Santa Monica thing I've ever seen. The entire shop is white, super clean, and everyone in there looks like they either just finished jogging and are half naked, well, quarter naked, or they're in this big hoodie, and nothing in between. And the walls are so white and clean, and there's this beach sandy feel to it. Everything's minimalist, and immediately I hated the vibes. It's just so commercial, fake Los Angeles type shit. And Michelle got a matcha, cool, we talked, cool, and then she drove closer to Aero Theater. We went in and we got some good seats. I got a drink, and then we watched Southland Tales, which is a fucking masterpiece. But yeah, while talking to Michelle, also talked a lot about just my short film. I think I really need to kick my film into gear, and sort of just, you know, really do something about it. And again, Michelle is someone I trust, and I've kind of officially ordained her to be my first AD, so now she's like involved, so she's like slightly interested, even though she still hasn't read the script, other than the first 2 pages, which is like nothing. But she's like involved-ish, so she's like, okay, well, get your HODs and have a meeting, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, okay. So hopefully it's going somewhere. But yeah, anyway, Southland Tales was really fucking good. I did like get a little drowsy and maybe dozed off just a tiny bit near the end. But otherwise it was a great experience. I remember Richard Kelly came out for Q&A, and Even though I couldn't take a photo with him or talk to him at all, he just left immediately. But that was a great Q&A. I rarely say that, but that was fucking great. The questions were good. They were good ass questions, and I felt really inspired. He graduated from SCA and he decided to make weird, unconventional movies, and none of them were successes, but he made 3 movies and the first 2 became cult classics. And he even got to compete in Cannes, and he recalled Cannes, he recalled his Lynch influences, and you know, just hearing him talk, I just felt really inspired. But yeah, and then Michelle drove me home. Unfortunately, I didn't run into anyone there. I thought Emma is gonna show up, like Emma, what's her last name? Why am I blanking? Oh my god, why am I blanking? Emma Fisher? No. Emma. Oh my god, I'm actually having an amnesia. That's crazy. Oh my god, wait, what? Her last name is Ferguson, right. I don't know why I completely wiped that off my brain. Now that I'm seeing it, I'm like, oh yeah, but anyways, that was so weird. She's not there. Anyways, Michelle drove me home, that's it, blah blah blah. 2 more things. Nobi finally finished editing my photos. Shout out to Nobert Otieno. Second of all, I talked to Sunny. So I'm like, I gotta say something. Sunny made an Instagram story saying, oh, there's a show on June 20th, maybe some DJ set, I don't know. And I thought, ooh, maybe I should just DM her. So I just DM her saying, oh, so are you coming back soon? Like before June 20th then? And then I waited a while, and then she showed up. She's like, yeah, I'm coming back on June 13th, finally getting out of this hellhole. And I'm like, how's Seattle? Wait, hellhole? Why? Isn't LA worse? And then she's gone. And then the conversation just ended. I feel like that's the thing with Sunny, is that she just stops in the middle of the conversation, she just disappears, and then she just forgets. Maybe it's an ADHD thing, but I've never encountered someone who would do that. Like, at least Jayun, I don't know if Jayun has ADHD, probably not, actually. But Jayun stays in a conversation, and yeah, I don't know, but you know, it's a little discouraging that she just disappears after saying one thing. I'm really happy she said something to me, but she just disappears. So tomorrow I'll just follow up. I'll be like, so can we hang out? I feel like texting her, you know, I feel like texting her is a bad idea because she just like ups and leaves. I think talking to her in person is always better at the end of the day, which is probably a good thing. But I think that gives me a little bit of a clue on why she doesn't even look at my Instagram story, because she probably like looks at Instagram and then she's like, she just gets distracted and she just forgets. Like, she probably can't even hold a thought for like a minute. So yeah, but we'll see. But that changes things. If she's coming back June 13th, that's like a week later, less than a week. Holy ball sacks. I thought I had a whole month of June to myself to train, but apparently not. But either way, I'm hitting the gym tomorrow, and I'm sleeping in, hopefully, and it's gonna be good. And yeah, I'm going to see Another World with Jonathan on Tuesday, 2 days later, and we're gonna have Hong Kong food at Monterey Park. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be lots of fun, and I'm excited to see the film. And even though it's probably gonna suck, but I'm still gonna see it. Yeah, and then I don't really have much Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday I need to do the biometrics, yeah, that's pretty much it.